Welcome to Our Future is Kind, a podcast exploring how we build the future we want to live in, one kind act at a time. I'm your host, Michael G. Neese, president of Our Future is Kind, and your trusted companion as we search out kindness strategies we can use in our everyday lives. Together, as we chase the idea of building a kinder future, we will interview experts in kindness, team building, human motivation, corporate culture building, relationships, plus politicians, artists, and those with a vision for a healthy and kind future, one we all want to live in and deserve to enjoy together. In addition to interviews, we will consider positive depictions of humanity's future in art, literature, the movies, and media. And we will issue kindness challenges each week, give an update about Our Future is Kind, the company, and what it's doing to stay true to its mission. So, let's dive in. Before we start this episode, just a quick reminder about the Human Summit. It's a movement focused on connection over division, kindness over judgment, and empathy over apathy. If you want to learn more, check out www.thehumansummit.com/home. As one of the co-founders of this Human Summit, I'm so excited to tell you just a little bit about it. Co-founder Kevin Hunting and I have put this together with an amazing board of advisors, and we can't wait to share it with you and the rest of the world. Check it out now and reach out to us if you have any questions. Lara Heacock is a leadership coach on a mission to end burnout by helping leaders and business owners bring more kindness into their work and life. Lara holds an MBA and is an ICF certified coach, PCC, and author of Practical Kindness. She's editor-in-chief of popular personal development blog kindovermatter.com, where she writes a weekly Monday motivator. Lara Heacock, welcome to the show.
Thank you. So happy to be here, fellow friend in kindness.
Glad to have a partner in all of this journey. So I just gave an introduction to you, but I always like to have people tell us a little bit more. So what makes you you?
Yeah. So my two core values are kindness and integrity. That really is what I try to bring into all I do. So I spend my days working with leaders of every level, from new manager all the way up to the C-suite in an organization, largely in the one-on-one space, helping them bring, when I talk about kindness into business, it's not soft and fluffy. It is having the hard conversations, but doing it with kindness. It is self-regulation and emotional regulation so that we can show up in a way that we're actually able to maintain our own regulation and kindness when we're talking to our employees, to our peers, to our boss, whomever it is. So a lot of my work lately has definitely been in that emotional regulation space, and having people, helping people through hard conversations. I'm actually finishing up a Cornell certification on conflict management because it just seems to be coming up so much, and I want to bring my style into some new tools.
It's wonderful, yeah. And I guess I'm really curious about kind over matter. I mean, what a great pun, what a great phrase to have in everybody's mind here. But how did that originate? Who are the really, the audience members that you want to connect with?
Yeah. So we are like the positive rabbit hole of the internet is how I think of us. Kind over matter originated. We are also an internet dinosaur. It originated in 2009. Which is crazy in internet years. I actually took it over in 2013. So it's been a journey with me for the last decade or so. Started by a woman who's an amazing writer and creative and crafter. And then I took it over when I started my coaching practice because I knew that kindness was something I wanted to bring into it. So we're like an online magazine with the through line of kindness. So every post you read, even the advertisers that we have are, they have to support the message. We don't take weird sponsored posts or things we also don't have pop-ups like other blogs and websites. You can read anything that's been there forever, completely free. Every single day we have new writers. We do book giveaways. So we just really want to be able to reach people in, it's tough out there and the internet can be ugly and we want to be a little bit of a bright spot.
Love that. Yeah. Every time we turn on the news, we are almost inflicted with and infected by all kinds of negative, hyperbole about what's going on in the world.
Yeah,
right?
Agreed.
Yeah. So So I know that part of the antidote to that is what you're talking about,
Yeah.
and I'm curious a little bit about your book.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that, where we can find it, and it's Practical Kindness, right?
It
That's what
is,
it's
yep.
called? Yeah.
It's Practical Kindness. You can go to bit.ly/practical kindness with a capital P, capital K. It's on Amazon. It is designed to be like a daily reader. So there's it's kind of divided into 4 seasons and actually a weekly reader. So it's divided into 4 seasons and 52 different, just little vignettes of something that you can have with you. So I've had people tell me they just open to a page and, what does the universe want me to read today? Some people do it as a part of like a weekly ritual. Maybe it's a Sunday night getting prepared for the week. Some people sit down and read it all in one sitting. It's a very quick read, but it's really designed to walk you through different steps of, particularly self-kindness. I'm a big believer in we can't give to others what we don't give to ourselves. So this book's really foundational when it comes to that.
Sounds wonderful, because then people can plug in in their own timing, in their own way, to the extent that they have time for in that moment.
Yeah.
That sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
Now, what if somebody wanted a bit more of your time specifically, where they want to hear directly from you, not the words that you've written, but they want to interact with you? I know you have this great coaching practice. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so all of my coaching work actually lives at laraheacock.com, and from there you can also link to Kind Over Matter. You can link to the podcast I did 4 seasons of, but really the coaching world lives there. And it's focused on leadership. I spent 20 years in corporate America before, leaving to work on my own. And I had a couple of good leaders. I had mostly not great leaders. And in my experience, and I've been through the leadership development programs at like big companies, they don't actually prepare you for day to day of being a leadership or being in leadership. So I want to make corporate a better place than what I left. I want to make leaders that, for me, my legacy is the ripple effect that, this work has on the world. So, the old analogy of, somebody has a terrible day and they go home and kick the dog. Like, I don't want that to happen. I don't want that to be people's lived experience. And when we have a better lived experience, everyone that you touch benefits from it, whether it's the person at the gas station or the person that you're coming home to. I spend my days, really getting to create that deep space in connection with my clients and support them through that. It's hard to be a leader.
It is. It's so tough, because you can be blown in all the different directions by, changes in budget, changes in your organization. It's funny, because I remember my last corporate position, there were so many people who would come to me and they wanted advice, and they all thought that our senior vice president, who was over our organization, just had all this power. And I had to remind them that at a company that was 20, 30,000 employees, a senior vice president really had a lot less power than what they would have guessed.
Yeah.
And so, my heart always would go out to him, because I kept thinking, gosh, I'm sure you have this reputation that you don't even know about. And all you're trying to do is do your best, try to figure out what's going to be most helpful for the mission and for the current goals and for your current personnel.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit more about what it's like to dig into that landscape and try to help these leaders? Because they're people too, and they're they've got a lot of challenges in front of them.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I think what's most interesting for me is, there are several organizations where I will work with several folks on the leadership team or several leaders throughout the organization. So I get to see a very different picture of an organization from, like multiple vantage points. But some of the challenges are consistent. You talked about budgets. That's a huge challenge. Hiring. I don't care what the job market reports say. Like, hiring is always hard, whether it's a buyer's market or a seller's market, a candidate's market or a hire, it's just always hard. But moving things forward, right? Like that balance of not getting too in the weeds, but being able to stay strategic and getting things to happen and moving things forward and balancing everything outside of work. I definitely have some very strong type A roots in me. I am a tightly wound woman a lot of the time. And I understand that, right? I also understand the need to, a lot of what I talk about is right sizing work. So I'll date myself. If you've ever played Trivial Pursuit, you remember the little cup and the different color pie pieces. There's so many different facets of life. Work is a pie piece. And, it's funny, like somebody out there might be listening to this thinking, are you going to tell my people to work less? Well, I'm actually going to tell them to work better, because the results will improve. So it's not, I long ago learned it's not about how long your butt is in a seat. Like your productivity is not linked to your time in the seat. It's linked to your outcomes and what you do. I've worked with some terrible performers that are in the seat for 12 hours a day and some amazing performers that are, like breezing in and out at their leisure, reasonably speaking, of course. But we have to right size the amount of our life work takes up for work to actually be a positive output, a positive outcome, and something that, your company is going to feel good about, whether you're the top level C-suite or whether you're a brand new line manager. So a lot of time is spent on that. Who are you outside of this? If work is your entire identity, that's going to burn you out fast.
Absolutely. Yeah. These leaders, in trying to navigate this and trying to encourage their people to work better, if I'm hearing you right, it sounds like trust is an awful huge part of what you're talking about, because to have somebody breeze in and out of their chair and people will notice that, how can that be normalized? How can it be normalized that people gain the trust enough that they're getting their work done, and in fact they may be having some meetings where they're pulling in information that makes them far more efficient or leads to a whole new product? Can you talk a little bit about trust?
Yeah, so trust is huge, and nobody will ever do it the same way that I do it. Nobody will ever do it the same way that you do it. And as leaders, we need to get over that, because somebody might do it better, and and different doesn't mean wrong. Different just means different. So like really working. So the personal work comes from, can I let go enough? Can I set? Brene Brown talks about the concept. She calls it paint done. And it's really just clarity. So, Michael, if you and I are having a meeting and I want you to, hey, I want this podcast episode to be edited by the 1st of the month. I need to make sure it's by noon, so I can review it so we can publish it on the 2nd. And I want it to be probably like 45 minutes long at the maximum. That's a very clear expectation. You know when, you know what, and you can ask me questions. I would want to end that conversation by saying, hey, check me. Are you hearing me accurately? Are we on the same page? And then I can let go. And then my job is just to keep accountability as, a part of my organization, but very clear with expectations, having good goals and deliverables and good metrics. I'm not a fan of like over metricing any organization. I think it's too much sometimes. But having reasonable metrics and understanding, and then just communication with your people, like being the resource, being there. And then the self-management comes in, which is we have to be open. We have to be able to be emotionally regulated in ourselves enough that our people feel they can come to us. And that's getting into psychological safety. So we've got to be able to be approachable as a leader, and to have that trust, we've got to manage ourselves in the discomfort of somebody's probably going to do it a different way than I would.
Well, everybody who's listening and watching right now, hopefully you're already thinking about how you can get in touch with Lara, because it sounds like she has some secret sauce that will help leaders, but also a lot of the sort of the frontline workers, the middle managers. I mean, it sounds like this is not exclusive just to leaders. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, so my work really starts with the people managers for the vast majority of my clients. A couple here and there that are not, but any level of leadership. And leadership doesn't necessarily always mean you have direct reports. It's how you show up. It's who you are, aspiring leaders, things like that. I lead mentoring circles with aspiring leaders.
Well, that's wonderful. Yeah. So hopefully people will get in touch with you from hearing you on the podcast. One of the big things that we do here at Our Future is Kind is we also try to ask our guests, what do you think the future should look like? And so if you'll go with me on this very quick thought experiment, it's 100 years from now. It is 2125, and we did everything right. We were great in supporting each other. We showed up the ways that we should. We built the things we needed to build. We cleaned the air, whatever it is. We did all of those things great. So tell me, you got out of your time machine. It's 2125. What are you looking for to make sure that it's true, that it actually worked?
I'm looking for community. I am looking for communities that are diverse and supportive. So communities of people that all look different from each other, that are supporting each other. Families that look incredibly different. They're blended in all kinds of ways, and they're all supporting each other. That we're not living in isolation, that we talk to our neighbors no matter what flag they're flying outside their house, that we are, we have a healthy food supply and we're sharing that with those who, maybe there are no people who are food insecure. Like maybe that has been a problem that's eliminated. But the number one thing I would look for is diverse communities.
Diverse communities. So that means that if we were walking together down the street, we would see all different kinds of people interacting with each other, sharing foods from different nations, that kind of thing.
Yeah, restaurants would have all kinds of different folks sharing in the different cuisines. There would be restaurants of different cuisines. I live in an area where there's like 27 Italian restaurants and not much else. And I love the Italian food. It's amazing. But I do miss being able to like go have some Indian food once in a while, or, food from a different culture that maybe I haven't had a chance to try yet. So not that every place, when I say that, I almost picture a city, and not every place has to be urban, but we could have the same feel in suburban communities, even in rural communities.
Right. Well, I think, 100 years ago, flight was, in existence. It did exist in 1925. But boy, we can sure get a lot of places a lot faster now than people did in 1925. Just imagine what it'll be in 21.
I know.
So maybe they can get to that Indian restaurant by just stepping through a portal, or
that would be so cool.
What's your favorite cuisine, since we're on the topic?
Oh gosh. So it's weather dependent for me. Like in the summer when it's really warm, it's sushi, hands down. In the winter, I think like Indian food is my treat cuisine because we have to go a little bit out of our way to get it. But on a regular basis, like my partner and I really actually love cooking. We love cooking in the kitchen together. And we try all kinds of different random recipes.
Yeah. Well, great.
Yeah. It's fun.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. The more richness we can pull in from the different communities, different cultures, the richer we all really are.
Yeah.
So there's a part 2 to this question.
Okay.
Right? You got out of your time machine, and this is what you were looking for, is community and this sharing of our backgrounds and whatnot. Okay, well, that was only obtained by us doing the right things. What are those right things? What are those big, courageous acts that we need to be taking part in?
Talk to each other, not about each other. I think the division is quite possibly going to be the downfall of, Western society. And I just, like I'll quote Brene Brown again. She says, people are hard to hate close up. And I noticed that to be true. It's so easy to sit behind a keyboard and say terrible things about somebody that you never know and you think you'll never see. And if you saw them at the grocery store, you would never, ever, ever act that way. So having conversations, finding those commonalities, being able to talk to each other, explore who somebody is underneath, maybe what you see on the surface. But, again, like just talking to people, I'll give an example. So just moved on Monday. On Sunday, we're here getting ready to move. Disastrous plumbing situation happened. And it's Sunday, like dinner time. I go, I text the realtor. I was like, you got a plumber? And I run to the next door neighbor and I said, do you all have a plumber? And they're eating dinner and they answered the door and they were so lovely and they gave me a recommendation and it all worked out. Spoiler alert. But, the next day I saw them and they're like, was it our guy? What happened? Is everything okay? So just that kind of stuff. I don't know them. They don't know me. But they answered the door. They were kind and helpful. And I think the world needs more of that.
Laura, you just hit on something that I think is fascinating. I think a lot of us are really hesitant to reach out for help.
Yes.
I think in a lot of cases it's because we don't want to be a burden to somebody else.
Yep.
But this circumstance, talk to me a little bit more about that, about asking others for help and how you view that.
So I know it's something that it's an edge for me to push, right? So that was an emergency situation. I didn't have time to, my brain didn't have time to make up any stories about should I, shouldn't I, that blah, blah. I just was like, my pipes don't work and I need to sleep here tomorrow night. So I needed to do something. So it was very easy for me to make that move. And candidly, I know that I am also somebody who will push themselves a little bit too far before she asks for help. So that's something that I need to work on. And I notice that in a lot of my clients too, asking for help, going to your boss and saying, this is too much for me. I need to move this deadline. Or even worse, I'm not going to make this. Can we push this out a week? Or can you give me another resource? Can you help me get some access to another resource so that we can get this moving along correctly because my plate is really full right now? I think a lot of it, so I come from the US, so I will speak to, a very ethnocentric context here, but there's a lot of the US population that is that rugged individualism and the pull yourself up by your bootstraps. It's a very individualistic mentality. And I don't think that's how we thrive as a society. So I think that we need to create the safe spaces where people can ask for help, where people know that you're open, where you are not, frustrated. You don't look down on them when they ask for help. We're all biologically wired actually to be helpers. We love it. We get a little bit of a high from it. But we're so reluctant to ask for it for ourselves. So then it comes back to, again, am I giving to myself what I'm asking others to give? And that's integrity. And I need to check that.
Yeah, I think it is a struggle that we all face. And you started off this answer by saying that we should be talking to each other and hearing each other and not talking past each other.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel like that's also an internal struggle, either for you or for your clients, where they're saying things about themselves that are not quite accurate or that are not very forgiving?
Oh, yeah.
And if that's true, I mean, then what's your advice? How do you get past that?
So we practice self-kindness, and I use the word practice very intentionally because, just like if you want to, I don't golf, but apparently if you, practice a certain swing 1,000 times in a row, you'll get better at it. Self-kindness is the same thing. If you stop telling yourself that you are, a big turd because you slept in late one day, and you really acclimate to the concept of my body needs rest and I'm actually feeling better when I give myself this thing that I need, but you don't tell yourself that negative story. You catch it, right? You don't make yourself wrong for it. It's because our brains do it. That's what brains do. They're just doing what they're wired to. But when you catch it, you take your agency back and you get to say, you know what? Is it really true that I'm being lazy right now? No, actually what's true is I'm exhausted. And this is the one opportunity I have to rest. I'm going to take that extra hour and I'm going to do it. And I'm going to let myself have it. And I don't need to I also don't believe in looking in the mirror and telling yourself things that are completely false, because our brain knows when you're lying to it. But if you can get to a truth that is more kind yet still true. So, okay, I'm not going to tell myself the story that I'm lazy, but I can tell myself the story of I'm really tired and I needed this rest. It's absolutely true. You're taking the emotion out of it. And if you can get 180 degrees and get to the point where it's like, I'm so proud of myself for giving myself rest, that's fantastic. But that's like the marathon, and we're at couch to 5K level.
Right. I love that. Yeah, it's reframing a lot of things and really thinking about it. Yes, when I like to, when I'm thinking about my own kindness practice or when I'm coaching something about theirs, that is an awful lot of it. It is the practice, like you say.
Yeah.
Trying to cultivate, what is my habit? I was once asked, is it more of our habit to climb over each other to try to get to the goodies that we want in life? Or is it more our habit to try to open the door and hold it open for somebody else to go through to what they need?
Yeah.
And the only response that I could think of in the moment was, I think it's whichever one you're cultivating. It's that's the habit that, whatever you're feeding, that's the one that, that you get used to. It becomes your go-to.
There's a million people that have said some version of this, and the one that always sticks with me is what you focus on expands. And that's true. Your brain, if you look for evidence of yourself being a big lazy turd, you will find it. If you look for evidence of, wow, I actually feel better when I give myself that rest, and look at all, that happened as a result of that, you will find that evidence too. So be careful what you focus on.
I love that. Yeah, Chris Thiele says, be careful what you feed yourself. He's a world-class mandolinist. And,
cool.
Yeah, he says that if you listen to certain music and it really isn't good for you, it's music that just becomes an earworm and just penetrates. He says, well, be careful what you're feeding yourself.
Yeah.
Because then it's hard for you to be creative and do the other things you need to do. So.
It's true, and it's all nourishment. It's the food we feed ourselves, the water we drink, but also what we listen to, what we read, what we consume, what we watch, who we talk to. Somebody, again, who I can't remember, we are a culmination of the 5 people we spend the most time with. And if anyone listening has ever changed their primary circle, you will see that so clearly. And we often can only see it in hindsight after making those changes, but my gosh, it is so completely true.
Well, they say that about recovery. If you are in AA and you have to go to, a center for 28 days or however long, if you come out and you haven't changed your playground, your playthings, and your playmates,
Oh, I like that.
you're going to fall back into what you used to do and how
Exactly.
you used to play.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, and I love that idea of the five closest core members to you and how they average out to being kind of you. So yeah, that's good stuff. So all right, so we're already into this beautiful discussion about kind of being inspired, right? How do you inspire yourself? What is it that you do to kind of lift yourself up? Laura Heacock, what do you do? How do you stay inspired?
Gosh, I really watch, you said it perfectly, like watch what you feed yourself, right? I really watch what I consume, what I look at on social media. Like I very much limit, I want to find the balance between being informed and being sane. So I really moderate what I consume in like social media feeds and internet and things like that. For me, it's time with those five people closest to me. It's time with the people that I love. Like I love connecting with my friends and we'll play music together. My partner and I will go out on the water and have a great day, just sitting out in the bay in the sunshine, which is beautiful when the weather allows. But I think connection is what's most restorative to me. And then, when water or a beach is around, that's pretty great too.
Yes, absolutely. So, in thinking about how you approach life and you try to spend time with these five really important people, it's probably more like 6 or 8 or however many for whoever's listening.
Yeah.
Your list doesn't have to be always 5.
Exactly. And it changes, right? Some Tuesday it might be a different 5 than Saturday. You never know.
Well, yes, that's true. Yeah, sometimes people get busy and sometimes people get into a mode where it's a little harder to connect with them, and that's okay too. We all have seasons. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, thinking about habits, thinking about what you do to inspire yourself, we always try to issue a kindness challenge to our audience every episode. And so, are there things that you think people could just latch onto that are fairly straightforward that would help spread kindness, make those ripples, like you talked about earlier, make those ripples go outward?
So in 2014, I did a 365 Days of Kind project where I challenged myself every single day to do an act of kindness. And some days it was, grabbing grocery carts from around the parking lot and putting them back in the little, place where carts are supposed to go. Some days it was, standing for an extra 30 seconds to hold the door for somebody. My favorite one was I was walking in Philadelphia. It was pouring rain. I had a raincoat with a hood and an umbrella, and there was this woman running, and she had no coat, no umbrella, and I just gave her my umbrella on the corner of the street, and I was like, here you go, I've got a hood, I'm fine. So it doesn't have to be big, and that's one of the things I believe in my coaching practice. Whatever we're doing, I want sustainable change for my clients, and sustainable change is baby steps. So find a baby step of kindness. Drop off a card to a neighbor, say hello to somebody that's walking down, the street in your neighborhood, help somebody at the grocery store that needs, a little help carrying something. Get curious about a new cuisine. Like expanding our brain is one of the kindest things that we can do for ourselves and for society, but make it small and make it bite-sized, and most importantly, make it repeatable.
And I love that you tied it to something that we all do. We all eat.
Yeah.
Right? And so you're overlapping some things that literally feed yourself and will also, in that more metaphorical sense, feed yourself.
Yeah.
So Laura, what are you working on right now? What's the big new project that you have ahead of you? I know you said you just moved, so probably unpacking boxes. But
A little bit of that.
But besides that, what are the big things that you have going on that you're really excited about?
Yeah, so it's so interesting. I have not had an answer to this question for quite a while, and now I do, and I'm really excited. So I'm in Central Jersey on the water, and my partner has owned a brick and mortar IT company for 30 years. I've been coaching for 12 years. We're launching a joint venture called Today's Office View. The website has just been created. It's todaysofficeview.com. And we are taking people for a full day exposure out on the water where they get full day of consulting focused just on them. So it's for solopreneurs, it's for business owners, or it's for very small teams. Access to his brain, access to my brain, but a day to work on your business or on your company instead of in your company. We've got some great testimonials out there already. So if there's anyone listening that's local, like Philly to New York, all the way down to I don't know, probably Maryland area. We're just a couple hours away, and we've had a blast beta testing it for the last year, and we're really excited to put it out into production this summer.
Sounds like an amazing way to spend time, recharge, learn a lot, make your business stronger. Can you tell us one more time, what is it called?
Yeah, Today's Office View. So it's todaysofficeview.com, because then your office view becomes the beautiful Barnegat Bay. And you're out on the open water. There's no walls. There's no restrictions. We're going to try and get you to get in the water too, because it's really shallow and warm where we'll park. But just a day to invite in creativity, to get access to two professionals whose only goal is helping you reach your highest and best self.
Sounds fun and amazing and productive and wonderful.
Yeah, thank you. We're excited.
Yeah, all right. Well, any last big words of wisdom that you want to share with this audience? I mean, Our Future is Kind has a lot of subscribers these days. What do you want them to know?
So that gives me so much hope. You know, like you said early on in this conversation, it is tough out there right now, and there's a lot coming at us. So the fact that there's a ton of subscribers is amazing. Spread the word, spread the word, whether it's inviting someone into a small act of kindness, whether it's inviting someone in to be a little kinder to themselves, whether it's sharing an episode. This one would be great. Sharing an episode of this podcast with somebody to invite them in, like continue to be, not only to walk your talk, right? Like to be the light that you want to see in the world, I think is, I think that's Maya Angelou, but I might have misquoted her. But to really be that example and to invite people in to be a part of the same thing. So invite people into your kindness and show them what it looks like. Show them kindness is strong. Kindness is far from weak and fluffy. It is the strongest thing that you can be.
I cannot believe that our time has flown by so fast.
It was
such a joy to talk to you. I encourage everybody to go through the show notes, find these great tips and tricks. There's going to be the kindness challenge, ways to stay inspired, ways to get in contact with Laura. So Lara Heacock, thank you for being on Our Future's Kind.
Thank you, sir. It's been great.
This episode's kindness challenge. Pick one tiny act of kindness you can repeat daily. Something sustainable and small, something that you can stick with. Whether it's returning a grocery cart while you're in the parking lot of the grocery store, or trying a new cuisine and sharing it with somebody else, or offering a kind word to a stranger. The goal is consistency, not grandeur. Let kindness be a habit, not a headline. Where can you find inspiration to stay kind? Well, feed yourself wisely, not just with food, but with what you read, scroll across, listen to, and with whom you spend your time. Lara reminds us that connection, nature, and self-kindness are powerful fuel. Choose what restores you. Thanks again for listening to Our Future is Kind podcast, a podcast in search of a kinder future. Go out there and do something kind.